Hello and welcome back to another video. Now, if there's one thing I've been guilty of on too many occasions to mention, it's fixating on the wider scene and missing opportunities that can actually make a more unique and compelling image. Now, I touched on this in last week's video where I talked about how I believe my blinkered approach, if you will, to landscape photography in the past has led me to miss many opportunities that, I guess were begging to be photographed. But today I want to show you how I'm learning to see differently and how I'm finding more photographic opportunities in the process. So this place is absolutely amazing, and I'm not ruling out taking a wider shot here today. But the reality is, conditions are fairly mundane for shooting the wider scene. And I think if I focus on that, I'd probably come away with something very average. And to be honest, I've got enough average photos as it is. So the plan is to work in this area of woodland here and really get to know the place a little bit more, to spend a bit of time to sit and ponder and just observe, try to see if I can come up with something creative, look beyond the actual woodland itself, look at the understory, the carpet of pine needles and leaves and fungi and patterns and textures, all these wonderful things that are buried deep within the woodland. So yeah, I really want to focus on that today and take you along for the journey and maybe show you how I'm searching for these compositions, and hopefully that might help you out as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can find. But I'm also going to keep an open mind as well. If the fog rolls through or the light changes, then for sure I'm going to be looking at the wider scene as well. So I guess I'm being as open-minded and receptive as I possibly can be, which I think is something I wish I'd have learned a long time ago. So I found a little patch here that I think is really interesting. Now I've got this sycamore leaf, I think it is, which is all curled up and obviously autumnal in its colour. And inside there's a little collection of pine cones, which is helping to weight the leaf down. All these other leaves keep blowing around, but this one here has been weighted down by these pine cones. Occasionally the wind does hit it and move it around a little bit, and that changes the composition just a little bit inside, but that is fine. I think we're just going to roll with it. But I think what I really need to do is set the tripod up for this. I've just done a test shot here and I'm at about 1.5 seconds, so I'm not going to be able to handhold that, and I'm probably going to need to focus stack it as well. So yeah, I've got my composition all framed up now and I think it looks quite nice. The light's just catching the edges of these leaves, which is really nice. There's some wonderful textures. And I think having those pine cones inside the leaf gives the eye something to look at other than just the leaf itself. So that works really well, I think. Yeah, I am going to focus stack this image. Probably 8 shots, I think. The good thing about this tripod, the Tree Root by Falcon, you can take the bottom part of the center column off, which is really, really handy for getting the tripod really low down to the ground like I've got it right now. So before I put the shot up, I'd just like to thank the sponsor of this week's video, which is Outdoor Photography Guide. Outdoor Photography Guide is an incredible online resource for anyone looking to improve their outdoor photography skills. Whether you're just starting out or have years of experience, I'm sure you'll find a ton of value here. Now, what I love most is that you don't just get tutorials, you get access to hundreds of video lessons on everything from landscape photography to wildlife, with lessons on how to use filters to taking nighttime shots. There is something here, I think, for every photographer. The videos are easy to follow, taught by friendly, experienced instructors like David Johnston, who walk you through techniques step by step. It's a bit like having a mentor sit down beside you and guide you through the whole process. Personally, I found new ways to approach my wildlife photography by just watching a few short videos, and they're constantly adding fresh content as well to keep you inspired along the way. As a member, you can also join live events and connect with a community of like-minded photographers to share your ideas, ask questions and keep learning. it really is an inspirational place. Here's the best part: the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the video description will get a full year of premium membership to Outdoor Photography Guide for only $1.49, which I'm sure you'll agree is an amazing deal. So a huge thanks again to Outdoor Photography Guide for supporting this channel. Now, here's that photo we've just taken. So I really do hope that last shot came out, because it's very, very difficult actually. The light was changing, also the wind was blowing as well. So I had about 6 or 7 different attempts at the stack, and yeah, hopefully one of them is going to be okay, because every time the leaf moves, obviously you've got to start again. And as you can see by the ferns moving, yeah, it's a bit gusty today. So yeah, probably not the ideal conditions for shooting something like this, but I thoroughly enjoyed just spending a bit of time down here working on this little composition. Hopefully it came out okay. Right, I think it's time to find something else. This place is absolutely beautiful. The smell of the damp smell of the woodland floor is absolutely fantastic. Very therapeutic, I think. So, like I mentioned back there, this type of photography, for me at least, I find very therapeutic. It's very relaxing. You know, I spent about an hour faffing around with that last composition. I don't know whether the image was that good or not, but I really enjoyed taking the time out and just immersing myself in the subject and just enjoying the process. And I think that is the key thing for this type of photography for me. Hopefully, obviously you want to get good images, don't you? You know that, I know that, but it's spending that time out in the countryside and just relaxing that I think is the most important thing. Let me know if you agree. Now, you know, I was thinking about that last shot there, and it was obviously very intimate, very close in, and very, very difficult to actually take, very difficult to make. So I'm looking for something a little bit easier. And I think I keep walking past this one tree trunk down here with some moss and then some wonderful textures in the bark. And I think I might just go for something nice and simple. Let me show you what I mean. So this tree is obviously very, very girthy, very, very textured as well. But I like this transition from the moss here in the bottom through to this darker section of bark. And I think maybe in the past I would be looking to maybe use this as a subject and then have some trees to support it in my final image. But I'm actually going to go really tight in here and really focus in on this transition between the moss and this dark textured bark, which I think looks really cool. So the composition I was going to be working on is this little scene just here. And you might see I've got my camera pointed down towards the floor, and that is because I've noticed this really little small scene at my feet, and because it's quite windy, I think that it might change over the next few minutes or so, because the wind's blowing stuff around like the leaves and the foliage, and I really want to capture this before that changes. And this isn't going to change, it's static, isn't it? It's not going to move. So I thought, yeah, concentrate on this first. And it's a really interesting little scene. We've got this scale of bark that's fallen onto the floor, and it's upside down, so we've got a very smooth magenta tone to it, which is really nice. And there's a bramble vine running through the centre of it with these wonderful bright green leaves, which is great. And then there's a splattering of pine cones around the edge of it as well, which I think adds a little bit of depth and texture to the scene as well. So I'm going to take this shot. I am going to have to focus stack it again, unfortunately. It's just the way it is with this type of focal length. I'm at around about 130 mil, something like that, with a telephoto lens on. So yeah, just going to take this shot now. So it's just a case of working through those focal points. Fantastic. Right, let's move on to the tree trunk. So I actually think it was a good idea to prioritise that last shot before taking the static shot of the tree trunk here. Now, it's been actually very, very difficult to compose something from this tree. I wasn't expecting it to be difficult at all. I thought, it's an easy shot, just a nice simple texture and pattern. But I put the telephoto lens on, started to zoom in, move around a little bit more. And then I realised, you know, if I just take a shot of the bark, it's just going to be textures, isn't it? I think it needs to be something a little bit more than that. So I've really worked on how the light is interacting with the trunk itself. So obviously the light's coming through the canopy of trees here, lighting this side of the tree up. The right hand side of the tree is in shade. So we've got this transition as the light wraps around the trunk itself from light to dark, which I think helps to add a little bit of shape and form to the composition. So it's not just a straight flat on shot. So I've tried to balance out the image so we've got just about the same amount of moss as we do bark, and I think that is working quite well. It's, I guess, a battle between the two textures, and I quite like that. The colours complement each other quite well as well, and I like how the light is catching the moss. So I think I've done the best I can do from this composition, or at least try to make it a little bit more thoughtful than just a basic shot of the bark. So yeah. When I was approaching this area, I did notice some fungi, which just caught my eye, and I think it might make quite a nice image. So we're going to go and check that out right now. So one thing I've really noticed with this intimate style of photography is that I need to spend time at one location to really get to know it. So back there, I was there for about 2 or 3 hours and really sort of scoured the area, really looked in deep into the landscape, and I think those compositions started to come together. What I find is when I'm on a walk, I tend to view the whole landscape. I'm looking around and I don't really see or notice those tiny little details. So yeah, spending a bit of time back there really opened my eyes to what is available in such a small space, basically. Now, I'm walking this trail here and something really has caught my eye. There's this patch of fungi just down here and it's an incredible orange colour. So as beautiful as that is, I've decided not to actually shoot it because it's on a slope, it's in the brambles, it's very, very difficult to get the camera close, and I'm going to probably have to do loads of focus stacking, and it's going to be a bit uncomfortable. And I've seen some exactly the same as that bit further down the trail when I was on my way here. So I think we're going to go and check that out, and it's about waist level, so it's going to be a lot easier. For this shot here of this fungi, I'm going to be using one of these, which is a macro tube, and these just fit on the front of your camera there, and they allow you to attach your lens as well. This one has full electronic connections as well, which is nice for autofocus, and this allows you to get closer to your subject, similar to a macro lens. Now obviously these are not as good as a dedicated macro lens, but they're so small and so cheap, I've always got one in my bag should I need to get a little bit closer to my subject, and that's what we're going to be doing in this next shot. Now there's a little patch of fungi just in here, which looks really nice. But I've also seen another little patch which I really like just in here, and this little section here I think looks really good. There's a leaf that flows down, there's a sycamore leaf at the bottom which is a slightly different colour, and then a bit further there's a patch of moss, and there's that single fungi there which sticks out at just a lovely little angle. So I think that's what we're going to be working on. I'm going to set up the tripod, get right close in here, and maybe use a soft focus this time, just isolating the subject, and yeah, not doing any focus stacking because I'm fed up with focus stacking. I want to take it easy. Right, let's get the tripod set up. I'm getting eaten alive by the bugs in this little area here, so I'm not going to dwell too long, but yeah, I've framed up. I'm at 300mm with the macro tube on. I'm at f10 to give myself enough depth of field just to get the mushroom in focus, and just obviously a little bit of depth of field before and after it. But I'm really going for that soft kind of ethereal feel to this image. Really like the colours in it, and yeah, I'm going to take the shot. I'm not going to dwell. The flies in this area are terrible. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's a dead animal underneath this log or something, but it's yeah, absolutely shocking. So I need to get out of here before I get eaten alive. But anyway, I'll put this image up now, and yeah, we'll talk a little bit more. So just after taking that last shot there, I stumbled across another log which had tons of this fungi on it and couldn't resist the temptation of trying out some ICM photography. And I think the results are pretty cool. So I think with this intimate style of photography, I think it really is about a couple of things. One is patience, of course. We always need patience in photography, don't we? But I think it's about enjoying the process and just slowing down and really concentrating on one small area. I definitely find that if I'm walking around, I don't see things nowhere near as clearly as I do as when I stop, take it all in and just spend a moment looking. Anyway, please do let me know if this type of photography resonates with you. I'd love to know, so do drop a comment down below. I read every single one of them. I try to get back to as many as possible, and it's your interactions that allow me to carry on creating videos like this. So please do let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this style of photography, or if you'd like to see me do more of it. Yeah, please be sure to check out the video that's at the top here. You might enjoy that one too. And over on the other side here are links to my store where you'll find things like my presets, my ebook on composition, that type of thing. So if you're into that, yeah, feel free to check those out as well. Anyway, massive thanks, and I hope to see you again next week.